Topping today's news, another suicide as an 8-year-old takes his own life. A passenger in a Honda Accord dies in hospital after an early morning accident. The Bahamas escapes the wrath of Hurricane Milton, and Consumer Protection cracking down on lousy businesses. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it's quite a pleasure to have you join us. Shocking and sad news gripped our communities today. Police dealing with what they describe as an alleged suicide of an 8-year-old male child that was found unresponsive at a residence on St. Albans Drive shortly before noon today. Police say an older sibling discovered the unresponsive male child with a belt around his neck hanging from the security bars of a bedroom window. The older sibling promptly notified a parent, who subsequently notified the police for immediate assistance. EMS personnel initiated resuscitation efforts as they rushed the child to hospital for further medical attention. However, he did not make it and was pronounced dead. Investigations are ongoing. Family members on scene were visibly distraught. This is the latest incident in a string of attempted suicides over the last 3 to 4 months. The Minister of Health, Dr. Michael Dovell, revealed several weeks ago that at the end of April this year, suicide attempts in the country were up 86%. Successful suicides were up by 25%. Those numbers have likely increased. Remember, if you feel like you want to hurt yourself, please call 911 or reach out to a reputable organization or someone you can trust. Police are investigating a traffic accident that occurred shortly before 3 a.m. this morning, which claimed the life of an adult male passenger. According to preliminary reports, the female driver and the male passenger, occupants of a white Honda Accord, were traveling west along John F. Kennedy Drive, west of Gladstone Road, when the driver reportedly lost control and collided into a utility pole on the southern side of the street. And as a result, both individuals sustained serious injuries. Emergency medical services personnel responded and transported both individuals to the hospital. However, the male, he succumbed to his injuries in hospital and becomes the 58th person to die on the streets of the Bahamas this year. The female driver remains in critical condition. While the all clear has not yet been given, at least not for the northern Bahamas, it seems as if the Bahamas has escaped the full wrath of Hurricane Milton that is now moving northeastward into the Atlantic Ocean. Aaron Sargent, the managing director for the Disaster Risk Management Authority, shared details on the present conditions, particularly in the northern Bahamas.
Communications have been made with all family island administrators as of 9 a.m. This morning, and we were in constant contact with all administrators over the course of the night. Most of them would have manned their incident command centers and EOCs throughout the night. There were no significant reports of damage. Based on alert number 16 on Hurricane Milton issued by the Department of Meteorology Thursday, October 10th at 9 a.m., Hurricane Milton was downgraded to a Category 1 in the early hours of October 10th as the center left the east coast of Florida. Peak winds are in excess of 50 miles per hour, were recorded in West End and Hopetown, Abaco over the night. Rain bands are currently affecting the northern Bahamas.
Although there were no deaths or severe damage reported, there was a loss of power and telephone services on Bimini, Grand Bahama, and Abaco. Mr. Sargent says the DRM was impressed with the level of readiness and dedication by the island administrators.
These stray and unrestrained dogs attack people. Madam Speaker, I remember as a little boy, many times coming from work after we moved in the Grove, and I would be walking home. And there would be hundreds, many dogs assembled in the street. And because of fear, I had to walk 3 extra blocks to avoid the dogs just to get home safely. A lot of people still face those same challenges. People who live in affluent areas, they don't know. But when you live in those inner cities and those type areas, you cannot get home to your own house because you have to avoid the stray dogs in the road who are sleeping, and you must walk 2, 3 extra blocks. These dogs, they also search in garbage containers, making messes across our communities. The necessary laws to address this exist. What is needed is enforcement and resources to assist that enforcement.
All schools and businesses around the country are expected to reopen on Friday. Meanwhile, the Atlantic hurricane season officially ends Saturday, November 30th. The increase in inflation has caused some business owners to take it out on consumers. From January 2024 to date, the Consumer Protection Commission, the CPC, processed over 300 anonymous complaints. During the office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing, Senator Randy Roll, chairman of the Consumer Protection Commission, says the commission has been making efforts to stop business owners taking advantage of consumers.
In our efforts, we are starting to meet with a number of the other agencies. For example, there's been some complaints as it relates to electronics, and so where there is a need for IRCA and other companies, we try to bring them on board so that together we can solve it. But we also have taken on the approach to do follow-ups as well.
Senator Randy Roll also highlights the statistics on where most consumer complaints originate.
The CPC has seen a rise in anonymous complaints this year, as well with 22 consumers opting to not file official complaints due to fear of backlash. We want to foster a trusting relationship with consumers and encourage you to share your bad experiences and bring violators to our attention for the betterment of the disadvantaged. Our data also shows a rise in complaints against local shipping companies, with 32 complaints followed by construction companies, food stores, utilities, and auto parts stores.
Urging members of the public to keep receipts after making purchases, Senator Roll says merchants found in violation of unnecessary fee increases will be penalized. And finally, in this segment, Member of Parliament for Kalani and former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, while debating the recent veterinarian medicine bill, took a moment to speak about the issue of stray dogs roaming the streets of New Providence in particular. Dr. Minnis says this age-old problem must be addressed once and for all.
The Bahamas has a long-standing problem with stray dogs. This is a problem we must also address. Dogs should be properly restricted to the property of their owners. All other animals should be impounded and appropriately dealt with following the law. We should not have roaming stray dogs in our country. The necessary authority must be resourced to carry out the mandate to fix this problem. These stray...
Dr. Minnis said the growing stray dog population could pose a serious threat to residents, especially when they form packs. He said those tasked with controlling the stray dog population must be empowered.
These stray and unrestrained dogs attack people. Madam Speaker, I remember as a little boy, many times coming from work after we moved in the Grove, and I would be walking home. And there would be hundreds, many dogs assembled in the street. And because of fear, I had to walk 3 extra blocks to avoid the dogs just to get home safely. A lot of people still face those same challenges. People who live in affluent areas, they don't know. But when you live in those inner cities and those type areas, you cannot get home to your own house because you have to avoid the stray dogs in the road who are sleeping, and you must walk 2, 3 extra blocks. These dogs, they also search in garbage containers, making messes across our communities. The necessary laws to address this exist. What is needed is enforcement and resources to assist that enforcement.
Dr. Minnis described the stray dog dilemma as a nuisance to society and called on the government to take the problem seriously. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break. We'll be right back with more news after these commercials.